Welcome to Lakshmi Academy. Today we will go over what is component testing. I'll go over the basic 4 questions that will be asked during the interview, and then we'll go into the concepts because you need to know the concepts. So what is component testing? Testing each object or parts of the software separately with or without isolation of other objects is called component testing. Component testing is also referred sometimes as module testing, and component testing is done by the testers. Component testing, when does it take place? Component testing takes place after unit testing is completed and before the integration testing. So first what happens is first the unit testing happens, and then the component testing, and then the integration. So before before the integration testing, component testing becomes important because to find any errors. Now let's see into some details what is component testing. This is flow chart of this is the application. Then you have 2 units, business unit 1 and business unit 2, and business unit 1 has another 2 subunits, unit 1 and unit 2, and business unit 2 has another subunits, unit 3 and unit 4. And these are the components from A1 to A8. So unit 1 has 3 components, A1, A2, A3. Unit 2 has 2 components, unit 3 has 2 components, and unit 4 has just 1 component. So what happens is you are testing each component individually. So you are doing component testing from A1 to A8, and then unit 1 and unit 2 is integrated. So here the integration testing happens. Same way, business unit 1 and business unit 2, the integration testing happen, and then you do the system testing of the whole application. So this is the basic flow chart diagram just to give an idea where component testing stands. So during interview question which can be asked are what is entry criteria, what is exit criteria, but it's always good to have a concept and not just the answers. So let's move on. When to perform component testing? Component testing is performed after the unit testing is completed by the developers, and the build which is given is UT build, which is also called as unit testing build, that is released to the testing team, and major functionality of all the components are tested in this phase. Now what is entry criteria for component testing? Minimum number of components to be included in the UT build should be developed and unit tested, because component testing is followed by unit testing. What is exit criteria for component testing? The functionality of all the components should be working without any presence of any critical or high or medium severity and priority defect. So once the component testing is done, there should not be any critical defects before you release for integration testing. For example, when you do unit testing or any kind of testing, the major exit criteria is like the application is not opening. It's like you're not going to perform not even any test on that when the application is on opening, or there are any major defects which is not allowing you to move forward within the application. So when those kind of defects happen, usually that is the way where you don't exit, you just retest it. So this is the basic exit criteria for any kind of testing you should remember. Now unit testing and component testing, there is a very slight difference between them, and let's see what is the difference. Unit testing is testing individual programs modules to demonstrate that programs execute as per the specification, and that is called unit testing. And I have a tutorial in details about unit testing, check it out. Now, component testing is testing each objects or part of the software separately with or without isolation of other objects. That is called component testing. Unit testing is done by developers, component testing is done by testers. Now, in some companies, based on the structure, sometimes unit testing is also done by testers if the testers are well versed or they know the programming language, then they do the unit testing. So unit testing is validated against design documents, and component testing is validated against test requirements and use cases. And as we had seen before, unit testing is done before component testing, and component testing is done after unit testing is completed by the developer. So the order is unit testing, component testing, and then integration testing. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll see you again in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching and have a great day ahead.